What's up, guys? How are you all doing? Well, it is finally the new year. I'm sorry that this is belated, but I recorded it once, like a couple days after the new year, but then I forgot that I left the battery on my microphone on like all night long and everything, so the audio was just totally horrible. So I decided I'd re-record it, but it's taken this long for me to do it. So, well, we're all here, so how are you guys? Let me know in the comments. How was your New Year? How was your Christmas? Hopefully everybody had a good Merry Christmas and a good New Year. Anybody set some New Year's resolutions? Hopefully some goals that you actually can reach. Unlike me, I'm always setting like almost impossible goals for myself. Oh, this is going to be an update video. Just going to tell you guys, what's been going on, where we're going, what some plans are for the new year and all that. So I'm probably going to ramble a little bit. So those of you that are checking out videos of mine for just informational purposes, this is going to be kind of a rambling video where I just kind of talk about what's going on, where we're going, and different things that I've been doing. So if that's not for you, go ahead and check out many of my other videos. I've got some pretty cool stuff here recently, so go check those out, and hopefully you'll enjoy those. But if not, if you want to hang out with me here for just a second and listen to what's coming up and what's going on and whatnot, then we'll get into it. So first things first, like I said, hopefully you guys had a good, happy new year. It is a new year, so we're going to be doing some new stuff. I ordered some new parts and some new pieces for things, so hopefully we're going to be getting, I know I keep saying this, but hopefully we're going to be getting into some more 3D printing. It just seems like every time that I get the 3D printer dialed into where it's acting perfectly, something comes along and it just totally messes up. For instance, the extruder like died. Here it is. Here's the ceramic one, and it literally like gooped itself and went nuts. I can't explain what all happened, but the plastic's been extruding all kinds of weird, and it just became a mess. So what I've done is I have ordered brand new plastic. I've heard that sometimes when you get the temperatures, if you're having to print with a temperature that's just outrageously hot for PLA or ABS, whatever material you're working with, that it's probably the quality of the plastic. The plastic is just not good quality, and so if it isn't, then sometimes you have to run the temperature ragingly hot, which ends up clogging your hot end and things like that, and you end up having all kinds of problems, which is what I'm having. So I ordered brand new plastic from a different vendor, one that is actually to our neighbors to the north. So yeah, to the good old it's from Canada, so from our good old neighbors to the north. So super deal. So hopefully we'll get some Canadian plastic in here and get that trash out of here that's not working. So anyway, so I got some new PLA. Now PLA is finicky. It does, since it's a bioplastic, it does absorb lots of water, so moisture in the air. Well, see, it's been winter time and whatnot, so I run a humidifier in my house to keep the air not so dry and whatever, and if I ever leave the plastic out, it causes a problem. I show you this in a 3D printing video, how to keep your plastic from absorbing water and things like that, but it does happen, and what happens is you get like little water pockets, little steam pockets, and you'll see it as it's extruding. You'll see little puffs of steam come out of the hot end, and the minute it puffs like that means you're not getting a solid stream of plastic coming out, which means it'll print wrong every time. You'll have gaps and voids and little air bubbles and problems in your print, and the quality is just horrible. So I ordered all new plastic. I even ordered some ABS since I installed, those of you that know me on Twitter, that follow me on Twitter, I recommend, if you've subscribed to me, then definitely follow me on Twitter. And if you haven't subscribed to me, subscribe to me and follow me on Twitter. Because I like to update with Twitter. I can post pictures and I can type a little message without having to go through the whole thing of making a video and editing the video and posting the video and putting all the comments and the description and all the stuff onto the video. It just takes longer to do a video. So I like to put little quips of like what I'm doing and where I'm at, or things that are coming up or things like that. I like to post in Twitter as much as I possibly can, as long as I have time for it. But I can make time a lot faster for Twitter messages than I can doing a whole video. So that's why I limit these update videos. I don't do them constantly. I do them kind of once in a while, because it takes a while to do all this. So I'll do that. Well, I've noticed I've upgraded my bed on my 3D printer. The reason I keep doing this is because the 3D printer is literally like right out of camera. It's sitting literally on this shelf. This shelf goes, or this countertop goes this way, and it's sitting right here. Anyway, I've upgraded the bed on it to a heated bed, so I can now print ABS and TPE or PET plastic, all the other plastics and bronze filler, everything. I can print everything now because I've got the heated bed. I upgraded the hot end. I got the metal UBIS hot end that they make for the printer bot here and whatnot. So I've done a lot of kind of modding and upgrading on it, and it seems to be working pretty good now. But the plastic, I'm still having extrusion problems, so I ordered brand new plastic. So I've got some ABS, so we'll try to print an ABS. I've kind of held off on printing it because ABS can stink really bad. Like, it smells like melted plastic. It stinks really bad. Whereas, and I don't know if the fumes are really necessarily good for you. So I've got to figure out a place to put this that won't affect temperature so much, but yet also will, have some sort of fume extraction. So still trying to figure out how I'm going to do the ABS. PLA smells like pancakes, or smells like waffles, so I've been told. My kids even think that. My wife doesn't think so. She thinks it smells horrible, but my kids all tell me, they're like, it smells like pancake syrup in here, and I'm like, yeah, that's the printer. So anyway, so it's not too bad. The PLA smells good, but I've heard, haven't tried ABS yet, but I've heard that ABS stinks really bad. So we'll see how bad it really is, and I'll go from there. But you definitely need a heated bed for warpage and things like that when you're dealing with ABS and nylon, PET, and all the other types of materials that you have. It's just good to have the heated bed. And even with PLA doesn't warp as bad if you have a heated bed, because I have tried it with the heated bed option, and it does print a lot better. So 3D printing coming up. I know I keep saying that, but it really is. I want to get it to where it's dialed in to where I can just print and print and print and print and print, and it just comes out more or less the same. With minimal tweaking, it'll print. It'll just print stuff. I printed the Solo Blaster. I don't know if, like I said, if you were following me on Twitter, I showed you kind of the process of that. I took pictures of it as I was doing it, and then took pictures of the whole thing. And so I've got the Solo Blaster is printed. I did give it to my sister, who did take it to the Star Wars premiere when Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens came out. So she did take it to that, and she got compliments on it and stuff, and it was pretty cool. So in any case, it does work, but that was right before the hot end went. So anyway, what can you do? You got to make repairs. I mean, that's the way it is. And I did put a new extrusion head on it so that I was able to print NinjaFlex, because I do have a spool of NinjaFlex, and I got the NinjaFlex going pretty good. And it was when I switched from NinjaFlex back to PLA, the hot end started acting kind of funny. And I really think it's the plastic. The plastic. I've talked to some people online and whatnot. I really think the plastic is just weird, because I have to get it to a ragingly hot temperature to get it to extrude. So I think it's the plastic. So we've ordered some new. So hopefully that will work out well. I'll keep you posted on Twitter and whatnot, and we'll print some more 3D prints, and hopefully I'll make another video that will show kind of a conglomeration of all this stuff that I have discovered with 3D printing. I'll tell you what you can look for to do and not do, tell you some do's and don'ts and things that work and won't work and things like that, just so, because I wish I had an all-inclusive video. I really don't have that. You really don't find that for PrinterBot. The PrinterBot people are like, oh, you just hook it up and it works. Psh, here's the part. Everything's great. They tell you no settings. They tell you no do's and don'ts. They don't tell you anything about how to set it up for this specific product. There's a zillion ones for the PrinterBot Simple, but there is like none for the Metal Plus, the big one, which is what I have. And all it is people showing it printing. Well, that's great. I mean, I know it can print. I know it can print high quality. I know it can do a good job. I don't know the settings, and I don't know what to do to calibrate it into that setting. So I've pretty much figured it out for myself. So I'm going to hopefully make a video for that. So those of you that are out there, if you do purchase this thing, which it is a good printer, I will say it is good for the money, because it's sub $1,000. It's the biggest printer out there, I believe, outside of, like industrial ones. But I mean, for a desktop printer that's sub $1,000, I think it's the biggest one. I could be wrong. Maybe by the time you watch this video, it might not be. But currently, I believe it is. And it's a 10 by 10 by 10. It'll print big stuff. And so without being like a Delta printer. Now, Delta printers are huge. They're really tough. Now, they have a small footprint, though. They're only like a 6 or 8 inch, footprint, but yet they're like, they're like what, 2 foot tall? They're like 24 inches tall. They can go, really tall, but that's a Delta printer. That's different. This one's just a regular desktop XYZ printer, just a normal, I think they call them Cartesian printers or whatever, but it's just a normal one, but it's 10 by 10 by 10. So it's very big for what it is. And for being sub $1,000, you kind of can't beat that. That's pretty good. So in any case, I'd really like to get this thing going and really get you guys a lot of really good information. So that way, if you want to pick one of these up, you can, and you've got kind of a quick start guide of somebody that's kind of fought pretty much every problem that has come up with this thing, and telling you, what to do and what not to do and what to stay away from and what to try, and some different points, because that's what I needed, was just experience. Just needed experience with it. That's really what you need. You just need to know what you can fudge and what you can't fudge, and where you can push the limits and where you can't. So all right, I digress. That's all I'm going to say about 3D printing, because that probably took up like what, five almost probably 10 minutes. Who knows? I'm not timing this, so I don't know. Anyway, according to that, one last thing I will say about it is I did pick up a GoPro finally. I finally gathered enough funds, which, thank you guys. I'm going to tell you guys thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel, because through you guys' support, through the likes and the comments and everything, and you guys' views and whatnot, I'm actually able to collect a very small portion, but a little bit of money from Google, and I save it all up. I don't just blow it on myself. I don't do that. I save it all up, and I buy things for the channel. Really, I buy things for the lab and for the channel so we can do more educational videos. And one of those was a GoPro. I really wanted one of these for the 3D printing. I wanted to be able to show you guys time-lapse pictures, and I tried everything. I tried using Raspberry Pis. I tried using all kinds of other things, and just I really couldn't get the quality that I was wanting out of the video. And I'd watched other people that do 3D printing use GoPros, and the quality is just fantastic. So I went ahead, I saved all my money, and I bought one. I bought one of the Hero 3s, which you can do. It has many different settings, different speed settings for the time lapse. And I even built, I'll show you guys in a video eventually, I built a mount for it on my 3D printer, so it can snap right to the printer, so it goes along with it. So you guys will be able to see it, really quickly, maybe in 30 seconds. I'll show you like a 4-hour print in 30 seconds. It'll just print, and you'll be able to see that, and I'll time lapse it for you. So thank you guys for your support. It allows me to get stuff like this, and like I said, I pay it right back. I don't keep any of the money that I make off of the channel. I just reinvest it right back into the channel and buy equipment and parts and pieces and all kinds of stuff. So I definitely want to thank you guys for all of your support. And I guess that's going to lead into my next thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to be putting a form out from Google Forms. Okay, I'll put a link in the description. I may put it right here on the bottom of the screen. Maybe, I don't know. Or I'll put it it'd definitely be in the description. But I'm going to have the first ever contest that we're going to have. And what the contest is going to be is I'm going to have a form that you submit an idea for the channel, because a lot of times I have trouble coming up with ideas for the channel. Okay, I have a tough time coming up with those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it up to you guys. What do you guys want to see? What would you like to learn about, or would be cool to put together and see, how something goes together, how something works, or whatever. I'm just kind of thinking up different ideas. This is the new year, brand new stuff that we could do. Where do we want the channel to go? What different ideas do you guys have that you can let me know? And I would be more than happy to research stuff. And, hey, sometimes it may be something that I don't know, which, it seems like the more you learn that you don't know, right? So it'd probably be stuff that I don't even know myself. And I would love to learn new things. So, and it would be great to learn it right beside you guys. So, if you could, fill out that form and submit it. Definitely put your YouTube handle in there. Definitely put that in there, or a way of contacting you somehow, because of what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it for probably a month or two, maybe, but then I'm going to compile my list, get all the names of everybody, whether it be your YouTube handle or whatever, some form of contact though, because I want to be able to talk to you. And I'm going to put all the names into a hat. Okay, or in a basket or whatever, and I'm going to draw a name out, okay? And who the winner will receive their very own Intel Edison. Because I actually have a couple of these. I was gifted these, so I figured I don't need two, I just need one. So I figured I will gift this back to somebody. So it's my way of giving back to the community for all of your wonderful support. You guys have always done real well in giving me support. And my son's looking at me. You need something?
No.
No? Okay. Sorry, my son's watching me. Anyway, that's my thank you to you guys for all of your support. I'll choose a lucky winner. Lucky winner will get a Intel Edison that they can then do their development on and whatnot. So make sure and give me some sort of, the form's real simple. It's just kind of a text box. You can type whatever, but give me some form of communication with you so that I can, I don't care, it can be your email address, it could be, your YouTube handle or whatever, but some way I can contact you, because if you're selected, I want to be able to get your address from you, or a P.O. box or something, so I can mail this to you. And I'll take care of the shipping and everything. You guys, if you win it, it'll be sent to you. But I need to have some form of communication with you. And when you submit it on the form, don't put it in the comments. Please don't put your personal information or something like that in the comments where everybody can see it. Just put it in the form. That way only I can see it. No one else can see the form. It's just me. So put your contact information or something in that form, like at the end, like sign the end of it or something with your contact information. That way I can send this to you if you're picked as the lucky winner of it. So that's going to be our first misperry contest, is we're going to have an idea contest. And it's not necessarily going to be the best idea will get the prize. It'll just be, if you've submitted, your name will go in the drawing, or your handle or whatever. You'll be submitted into the drawing to win the Intel Edison. So, and if you guys don't know what the Intel Edison is, check out some of my videos. Look back. I've made quite a few of the Intel Edison. I think one was the most recent one, I believe, was the automated herb garden, was the latest one that I did with the Intel Edison. But we also did that smart plug that I had that was controlled by Bluetooth and things like that. We did some cool stuff with it. So check it out. It's pretty cool. It's a little microcomputer. It's really awesome for those of you that don't know what it is. So it's Arduino compatible. So you can use your Arduino code or download the Arduino compiler for free and start compiling code and developing on it. It's really cool. It's full Linux platform too. So anyway, lucky winner will receive one of those. Oh, let's see. Anyway, another direction I was going to go, or at least another project I was going to go. I have quite a few project ideas to kind of get us started and keep us busy, but I would love to hear you guys' ideas, hence the contest. It helps somebody win one of those, and helps me win something, or it helps me not win something, but it helps me get some more ideas for the channel, because I want to get feedback from you guys. I want you guys to let me know, what you would like to see. A few of you have in comments have told me a couple of ideas of things you want to see, but I'd love to have, like kind of a formal list and a big pile of ideas. It would be great if 100 or 200 or 300 of you would submit, and I'd get this big old pile of ideas that I can sift through, because I do love listening to you guys, and I do want to cater to you guys, because that's what this is kind of all about. I really don't do this for the money. Like I said, I don't keep any of it. I put it right back into this because it's fun. It's fun. I love getting new lab equipment. I love being able to wire up cool and interesting things to show you guys, and then show you guys how to do it. That's fun for me. This is how I'm getting my charge out of it. I'm a complete electronics geek. I mean, I really am. I love microelectronics stuff and whatnot. So that's the fun for me. So I enjoy making the videos for you. I don't. I'm not doing it to try to get rich and become a 1 million subscriber YouTuber. I don't care. I just do it because it's fun. So, and you guys enjoy it, so I want to keep doing it because, like I said, I have fun talking to you guys and listening to you guys' feedback, and enjoy you guys getting enjoyment out of it as well. So, anyway, next thing that we're going to be doing, kind of sort of big thing, the wind project is still there. I'm still going to do maybe the wind generator. I just got to maybe gather some more pieces and parts and whatnot to be able to get that. I need to do a little more research, because I'm still researching the blades and the pitch and all that stuff, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to 3D print parts, or if I could buy parts, or what different types of materials and ways I can make the parts and things. I gotta kind of still wrap my brain around it. So that one's kind of still in the works. It's just something that might be happening. But we will eventually design a wind generator to power maybe some sort of Bitcoin mining operation, which could be fun. So anyway, so that's on the horizon. But that one's kind of a ways off because that takes a little more thought and a little more research. A sooner one, though, that is kind of a big project that's kind of cool is I've always wanted to make one of these, because these are all the rage right now, technically, is a quadricopter. I always wanted to make a quadricopter, but I didn't know how I was going to write the software for it and how I was going to do all that stuff. Well, come to find out, you can actually just build one up on your own from all the different parts, and you can get flight controllers that have all the software and everything already in it, the gyroscopes and the MEMS devices for the accelerometers and things like that to figure out whether it's upside down or whatever and all that stuff. So I say, let's go ahead and just build one. And I think I've got enough supplies and whatnot. We can just go ahead and order the parts, order the frame and the motors and the propellers and all that stuff, and let's just build one. And first phase will be just building it and kind of some do's and don'ts and maybe different parts and stuff. So if you've always wanted to have a quadricopter that's a fairly powerful one, I mean, I'm going to order parts enough for it to be fairly powerful. And honestly, the ones that you buy in the store are really expensive. And the one that I've been looking at and doing research on, or at least that I think I'm going to put together, and so far as the calculations I've done, it looks like that it's going to be just as good, if not better, and it is way cheaper than the big, huge, fancy ones that are just ragingly expensive that you get at the store. So ought to be a very interesting video for both of us. I'm just interested in it because what I will ultimately do is we will mod it to where it will be like autonomous. I want to make it where maybe attach, I don't know, maybe an Intel Edison or a Raspberry Pi. Maybe the Edison, because the Edison is built for low power consumption, so it's built for like a battery situation. So we might use the Edison, or we may build our own custom circuit. We may take like a PIC 32, one of the big 32 megabyte PICs or PIC, microcontrollers, or we might use a ARM processor, and slap that baby in there, maybe do some stuff, but maybe do some cool automation with it, where it autonomously, flies around and maybe seeks out certain things or something, or I don't know, we'll come up with something. Trust me, we'll come up with something. In fact, if you have any ideas, put those on the forum. That'd be cool. So submit those in, because I'm kind of thinking of what kind of automation idea we could do with a quadricopter. But the first round of videos will be just setting one up and building one and flying it and playing around with one. That'll be the first kind of series of videos that we'll do is putting it together. So I thought that'd be kind of fun for us. As well as I've got some other ideas, some other cool camera ideas. Now that I have a GoPro, I've got some other kind of neat ideas of building kind of I've got these, let's see if I'll just pull it out. I've got some servo motors that I got from Radio Shack when they were going out of business, because Radio Shack sadly is no more. But anyway, I collected a bunch of stuff on the one that was here locally that went out of business. I don't know, again, if you're on my Twitter, I took a picture of all the stuff. I got like a bag of stuff, just parts and electronic pieces and parts. And a lot of them were stepper motors. They were like 75% off. Like, they were so cheap. And so I picked up a whole bunch of them, because we make stuff out of it. I don't know what I'm going to make, but we'll make something. And so I figured out we make some sort of a remote control camera that could turn and, maybe look up and down. I don't know. That can, look around, and you could control it remotely, maybe from a web page or something like that. I don't know. We'll come up with something. And that's another idea that I have. And so, I don't know, some cool stuff that we could do. And then we've got this Link-It One that can do audio and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and GPS, and you can even put SIM cards in the thing and do GSM with it. So I don't know, we can think up some cool stuff with that too, because that thing's pretty sweet. At least all that stuff is all in one package, and that is kind of neat. So we may think up some more stuff to do with it. What else do we have? Yeah, just lots of interesting and different things. Oh, I finally ordered my own scope. So I finally have a benchtop scope. As you know, I don't know, those of you that watch me, I do have a PC-based scope that I use, and it works really well. In fact, I may have it over here. I think I do. Let me see it. If I can get it. Yeah, this guy. It's not plugged into anything. But this little Handtech It's across the pond stuff, but hey, it worked pretty good for if you're doing some analyzer type stuff. If you're wanting to, I don't know, just trigger on stuff. That was really all I needed it for. I just wanted it for triggering and stuff like that. When certain things in microcontrollers happen so fast, that you can't really catch it. You can't really put an indicator light on it because it can happen so fast you can't see it blink or something like that. So it's nice to have a scope with just a quick single shot trigger, on it. And this was nice. It was 2-channel. I can't remember how many megahertz it is. 20 megahertz. It's pretty good. Sampling rate was 48 megasamples per second. That's pretty low. But for the simple stuff that I was doing, like I only have 4 megahertz clocks, and maybe I'm only doing a few microseconds or something like that. It was all right. But I mean, if you're really going to do some intense signal measurements and things like that, that ain't going to cut it. It's only 48 megasamples per second. That's. But for the simple microcontroller, like serial communication and things like that, and checking out I2C and things like that, this works great. It works fine, and it's sub $100. It's less than $100. It's actually a pretty bargain deal for what it is. Like I said, it is a PC based one. The problem that I ran into, well, other than there is other problems, it only being 48 megasamples per second, only 20 megahertz. But other than that, the main problem I run into with this is since it is powered. That's what those little red cables for. It's powered off of your PC. Problems that I see is noise from the PC power supply can get in here, and it raises the noise floor quite a bit to where if you're trying to do some sort of amplifier circuit or something like that, it's going to be very difficult to dig your signals out of the noise if they're very low. Like if you're doing sense resistors, where you're maybe sensing current, because there's another project I'm going to work on that is going to be kind of like doing some power metering. That I was thinking about doing for all of us. We'd be doing something like that where you can meter some of the power in your house and things like that. Well, you might have sense resistors and things like that. So resistors are like 0.001 ohms or something like that, and you're trying to measure, the sense voltage across it prior to your amplification stage and things like that. And sometimes those voltages are just so tiny on those sense resistors that you can't dig it out of the noise on one of these things, because your power supply in your computer can be noisy. Even if you have a high dollar one, it can be a little noisy, as well as ground loop issues. You run into that too, to where you'll have a perfect 60 hertz AC waveform inside of what you're measuring. And what that is it's due to ground loop situations, because these things are chassis grounded, I believe, or whatever. The DC, because it's the difference between the DC ground and the AC ground. Since you have a rectifier essentially is in your PC power supply, and you're rectifying this out and whatnot, you can get, depending on their filtering and things like that, as well as also where the AC ground is versus the DC ground and the chassis ground, you can get weird loop situations going on in there. And what'll happen is you'll see, believe it or not, you'll see in your deal, like you'll have your system completely shut off, or you'll have maybe a transistor pulling to ground, and that's what you're measuring here, and you'll get this nice, pretty little AC 60 hertz waveform. And you're like, well, everything's grounded. How can it be? How can you get a 60 hertz waveform? It's due to ground loop situations, and it's coming through the PC. Now, what I've seen is with a scope, you can alleviate that with a true scope one of two ways. You either get a scope that has batteries, where you can you put batteries in the back of the scope, and the scope has its own self-power to where it doesn't have to be plugged into alternating current, because what are batteries? Batteries are DC, right? So then your DC, everything is DC. The negative on the scope is tied to the negative in your circuit when you put it in there. So everything is common. All the grounds are common. There's no ways, you can get a ground loop going to where weird signals can filter in. You don't get that. Or I have seen, now not always, but sometimes it can work. You can use a cheater plug, what we call as a cheater plug. I don't know if I have one. I might have one. See if it's in a... Yeah, I do. Hey, I do have one. Ha 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 ha. I have a cheater plug. All right, right on. Is one of these. I don't know if anybody's ever seen these, but what they are, at least for here in US plugs, if you're in another country, I don't know if you have to worry about it. That'd be interesting. You let me know in the comments below. I don't know, because other countries are like 220 volt and they're 50 hertz systems, or 240 volt or whatever it is. It's 200 and some volts in other countries. I don't know. Those of you that aren't from the U.S., post down there. See, do you have that kind of problem? That'd be interested to know if you've seen that kind of problem that I'm talking about. Because if I remember right, if you guys use 208 or whatever, use the two phases, you're not using a ground. You're not like on a Y setup. You're like on a delta setup. So you're using the 240 volt or whatever. So you have no ground really on the AC side. So I'd be curious if you guys have that problem. But here in the United States, when we use 120 volt and we have a neutral, that's in everything, and then you get problems. You get weird things happening. But what it can do, because the neutral is kind of like the ground too, because the neutral goes back, at least in AC panel boards here in America, the neutral goes to a neutral bar, which ties to a ground rod. That's a rod that's driven outside. Then, but your ground bar is tied along the same lines. Usually there's a bar that ties the ground bar inside your panel board back to the neutral bar. Well, depending on impedances, the neutral might be a better ground than the actual ground bar. The ground really is there for safety. It's a safety thing. If the neutral for some reason gets severed or whatever, and the hot wire, the energized conductor, breaks loose and touches the case of something, you want to ground all that down so that way it'll trip a breaker and it'll interrupt the current so it doesn't electrify a case where someone could touch it and hurt them. So that's the idea behind a ground. So it is kind of a redundant neutral, technically, is what it is. And it's there for safety. So if the neutral ever gets severed or the hot gets broken away from whatever it's powering and touches a chassis or something like that, it can be safely interrupted. So, you can get ground loops between the neutral and the ground, has different impedances back to the common point, which is the ground rod. There can be different impedances. Well, the minute you get different impedances, you get different levels, right? And you start getting ground loops going on. It gets all weird. I could explain this. Let me know if you want a video explaining all that. I can explain that a little better than what I'm saying right here. I'm kind of probably being confusing. But basically what you can do is you can lift that ground. That's what these are for. It's a little plug like this. It looks like it has the ground plug, but then on the other side, it doesn't have a ground. And I don't know what this little thingy is, technically, but it has no ground pin. It's just the two ones. So what this does is it lifts the ground on the scope. You plug this on the scope and it takes the ground away to where all you have is the energized conductor and the neutral is all you have. And so I've seen that will alleviate that weird 60 hertz AC waveform from getting in to your scope probes here. But this thing, it does it horribly. I mean, it comes, I had to fire this up and show you. I don't have time in this video, but I had to show you what I'm talking about. When I get the new scope, I had to do a comparison and show you what I'm talking about, because it is pretty funny. It comes through, and I mean, it's a perfect 60 hertz waveform. It's not very, it doesn't have a lot of amplitude, but it's a perfect waveform. It's really funny. And that's coming from the USB connection because of the power supply. It's probably just how the power supply is grounded. Since it's hooked to AC power, it's probably how they've done the DC ground. Probably tied the DC ground to chassis ground, and chassis ground is probably also tied to AC ground, and that's where you're getting weirdnesses or something like that. I don't know, but it is weird, and it comes in, and you're like, what? So, in any case, so I may show you guys that as well. But anyway, that's the reason that I got. But for what it is, I think it was like, I don't know, $60, $50, $60, $50, $60 for a little simple, oscilloscope that's 20 megahertz. Has an all right sample rate. I probably wouldn't trust it. And that's another thing I may talk about if I'll show you the scope or whatever. The sample rate is a big deal, because remember, these are digital scopes, so they're not an analog scope. The analog scopes are great big huge suckers, have the green screen on them or whatever. Those are analog. No, a lot of the scopes nowadays are digital, especially the little tiny ones that are real small. Those are digital. They don't have all the big linear regulators and other things that are in there, they all analogies. had, and all the transistors and all the stuff that the old analogies have. They don't have all that stuff because it's all digital. It's all being done with ADCs, the analog to digital converters. So they're taking that analog waveform and doing a digital conversion on it. Well, depending on the sample rate, okay, that's what it's telling you, is the sample rate of the ADC. The higher the sample rate, the more granularity you're going to have, the more representative of the analog waveform you're going to get. And so you're able to zoom in really far on the analog waveform and get a true representation of it with a really high sample rate. With a really low one like that, only 48 mega samples per second or something like that, you could miss things. There could be stuff happening in nanoseconds and you totally miss it, like you wouldn't even see it. Now on an analog scope, if you had the timing down far enough and it had enough, and you could, you had enough amplitude that you could turn the amplitude down or whatever, to where you could actually see it. You'd actually see it you'd actually see it blip on an analog scope, because an analog scope is analog. It catches the entire signal. It's analog. So whereas the digital scopes, they have to do an analog digital conversion, and then when it's putting it on the screen, it's actually a digital, it's all digital. And so if your ADC isn't up to snuff, it isn't fast enough, it'll actually miss things. There's certain things that can happen really quick, transient spikes and problems in your circuit that it'll totally miss. You won't even see it. So anyway, like I said, I'll do a whole nother video on that if you guys want me to. Let me know in the comments. So anyway, well guys, that's I'm sure that's probably all the time we have. I've rambled for a really long time, but if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, let's do a word. Let's do new. Let's do new. Use the word new in your comment in the bottom. So I don't care, new year or new project or new whatever. Just use new in your comment below, and I'll know you made it all the way to the end of this video. And I hope you guys have a great new year. It's another year, fresh start to everything. That's so nice. So cool stuff coming, 3D printing, quadricopter, some other camera fun things, maybe some servo motor stuff. I don't know, whatever we come up with. And then the results of the contest. Don't forget to fill out that form down there. You could win. You could be the next contestant to win your very own Intel Edison. So there's my movie voice. Or not movie voice, I guess advertiser voice. Whatever. I'm tired. Anyway, t-shirts. I forgot to mention that. T-shirts. Check out the t-shirts. I'm wearing one right now, but I added a couple more. I added a keychain. There's a cool keychains. The keychains are actually fairly reasonable in price. They're only like, I think, $3 or $4. So if you want to support the channel, you can buy yourself a t-shirt or a keychain, or I think there's a coffee mug. There's a bunch of stuff out there. Zazzle.com/misperry. Link is in the description. Check that out if you want to support the channel that way. If you want to just give a one-time donation, you can do it in Bitcoins. I do have a Bitcoin link. It's at the end of this video, and I believe there's a link in the description as well for Bitcoins. If you don't want to give any type of money, that is totally cool. I totally understand. Another wonderful way you can support the channel is by hitting that like button. Push that like button, and my kids are starting to come down. I think it's definitely time to go. But push that like button, subscribe, share the videos, and comment. Those are great ways of supporting the channel, especially pushing the like button. Really helps it out, because that helps in the Google AdSense stuff that I do and the Google stuff that I'll get. Push that like button because it helps get my video up in front of more people. It helps it come up first in searches. So actually it helps you out too. If a lot of people like the content, and it is helpful to you guys, and you guys hit that like button, then if somebody else is searching for something similar, that video will pop up in the top list of things. So definitely push that like button. It will help support the channel as well. If you haven't already, subscribe. If you haven't already, check me out on Twitter and Instructables. I'm on both of those places. Twitter, I believe, is twitter.com/misperryee. And then Instructables, I think, is /members/misperry. I don't know, it's down in the description. So make sure and subscribe to me on Twitter, though, because like I said, I do small little comments of where I'm at and what I'm doing and things that are going on and where the projects are. So I do that quite, or at least as regularly as I possibly can. So check me out there and subscribe and all that jazz. And you know what, guys? Happy New Year. Thank you for all of the wonderful support. It's been a great time last year. I'm looking forward to another great year this year. So guys, with that ought to do it. We'll see you next time.